Lisa, we have all kinds of questions and so many people excited to see you. So I'm really glad you got this slide up. This is how you can follow Lisa and connect with her. They were asking about your Pinterest name and all of that. There, you're saying you rock in the chat room. So
Thank you.
Karen, I think you've been collecting questions, and are you ready to give those out to Lisa?
I sure will. And one of the things I have to say, Lisa, is you were really great as the questions were coming in. Sometimes you were covering it right as the question was happening. So we didn't have, the question list is not as long as it would have been.
I love that.
Um,
That's great.
the first question, though, and I'm going kind of in a backwards order because this was about a page you were on. You were on that YouTube page. I think it was a YouTube page. And the person wants to know, is that page you were on YouTube or was it Google? It was to SEO your videos.
Oh, so when you upload a video to YouTube, that is the page that you see. It's kind of like a listing page, right? An eBay listing page. So you upload your video, and right on that page where your video is uploading, you're going to see the title, you're going to see the description, you're going to see the tags, and basically YouTube wants you to fill that stuff in. And once you fill that in, that information will be saved, and then you've got your optimized video. And one thing I didn't mention, Karen, was that, YouTube has this thing called annotations, and I love annotations because basically what you can do is you can type the URL to your eBay store and have that playing at the bottom of the screen while people are watching your review video. If you really, really, really want to send them directly to a product listing or a product category, then you kind of have to buy a specific domain name to send them to a specific category. But in that situation, you can send them directly to your store with your store URL. And what's cool about those is these things continue to get views, and so you'll have people coming to your store 6 months down the road because they saw a product review and they want to see what else you have there.
Cool. And somebody just now was asking if we had the link to the to write the eBay buyer's guides.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can get it here.
I was kind of hunting as we were talking, but
it is. I'm gonna just so it is ebay.com/GDS.
Okay, so let me just type that in there. So, and then the person was also looking for your eBay sourcing link. Thank you, Scott.
Whoops, eBay sourcing link. Hold on, I kind of went crazy and let me, let's get back to our presentation, shall we? eBay sourcing link. Now, I'm not sure, there we go. What eBay sourcing link were they talking about? I'm trying to think.
I'm not sure.
I wonder,
Let me ask.
they
He might be asking for yours.
I think they might be asking for my eBay sourcing program, which is actually
Yes.
Power of 10 productsourcing.com and the number 10. So power of and then the number 10 productsourcing.com.
Okay. And they're asking if they can get the deck from your webinar. So will that be available? That we'll have it up on our
Yes, we will. We're going to put it in PDF. And you know what? Here's the way to use it literally, because I did everything in order of the importance of the way that it needs to be implemented. So if you literally print that PDF out, put it next to you on your desk and go through it step by step, it actually is a checklist. This is probably a good time just to let people know who are interested. I do actually run every year, this is the 5th year, what I call my Increase Holiday Sales program. And you can get more information at increaseholidaySales.com. I'm going to be closing it down on October 27th, just because by the time we get to November, then it gets a little bit late to really take advantage of the value because it runs through the end of the year. But we walk through every single detail of getting the maximum amount of holiday sales. We have a lot of marketing tips, other sourcing tips. I do Q&As, 2 Q&A coaching calls a month, so people can ask me their specific questions, and I actually go out and look at your eBay store, your product, or whatever you need, and I actually give personalized information. So, but that is going to end on October 27th. And then the Pinterest course is at Pinterest for e-commerce, and that's a 5 video series on really how to set up a professional business presence. So many people are still using Pinterest as a hobby. They're not using it as a business tool. So just to make that delineation, if you're going to do Pinterest as a marketing tool, you got to use it as a business tool.
Okay. Somebody just wants to give compliments to Lisa. They've been to almost all the webinars and say this was the best and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I need to get to the questions here before I get lost. We have a person that primarily sells on Etsy in our chat room, and she wants to know, when you were talking about tweaking and relisting, stale listings and stuff, how is that different for Etsy sellers?
Oh boy. Okay, so I have to tell you, my expertise lies in eBay and Amazon and website sales. However, and so I can't tell you the specifics of like how Etsy search works, and I don't want to send anybody off in the wrong direction. My recommendation, and I know Etsy is really good about getting information out to the community, my recommendation is using what you learned today, kind of thinking about mobile, thinking about keyword relevance, is to actually go back to Etsy, and if they've got like some community boards or something, ask the question. So, how does Etsy search look at the keywords in my Etsy listing? How does Etsy search? What do we need to do to render for mobile? I will tell you though, across the board, and goes for every single, Amazon's kind of its own thing, but for your website, for Bonanza, for Etsy, for eBay, I will tell you that clean listings, not a lot of graphics, not a ton of font colors. Basically, what I showed you today really is the e-commerce standard. Same thing with the images that I showed today, that's the e-commerce standard. So you cannot go wrong with having a very highly keyword optimized Etsy product page. Use that same information if you're selling on eBay or Etsy. Use that same information. You can actually take that information and help when you pin stuff on Pinterest. Our web today in our marketplaces, every single search engine is based on content. Content is every single thing you publish on the web, whether it is text, whether it is video, whether it's a Facebook post. You have to get into the mindset of every single thing that I type needs to include some type of keyword phrase that a buyer would use to find my products. And Etsy specifics aside, that's really how you have to think about it, because this is where the web is, and this is where it's going, and this is where it's going to stay. So you can't go wrong applying our best practices here on your Etsy store, on your Etsy pages. But I would ask Etsy, just make sure. So what else do we need to do to make sure our listings are optimized? And I will tell you, Etsy stuff on Pinterest flies off the shelves. Everything I click, every Etsy product I see, I click and it's like sold out, sold out, sold out. So use Pinterest for sure.
Okay. Chris, can you do me a favor? Can you put the webinars and the YouTube channel links in? Because we're getting lots of questions for those now when I said this will be available there again. Okay. When you have listings that are not good till cancel, GTC, but are 30 days, do you have to end the listing, or can we wait for it to end naturally before you do the relisting, tweaking, making it pretty?
That's a really good question, and it depends on how badly you want that product to sell. So if it's kind of just your generic product and maybe it's a little bit out of season, I would say you want to let that listing run out, right? Because if it's something that kind of is the tail end of a seasonal product, but it's not really for this holiday season, there's no point in canceling it. But if it is a product that's a 30-day good till or 30-day listing, and it's something you really, really want to sell between now and December 25th, and you looked at what we talked about in this webinar today, and you're like, wow, this thing is not selling. I see a lot of improvements that I can make to this listing page. It is worth it to cancel it and to rework it and relist it. Because think about it. If you've got 50 units of inventory sitting on your shelves depending on this 30-day listing selling, and you don't do anything for another 30 days, now you've lost a month of the holiday selling season. That can be a make it or break it a period of time. So the urgency is, holy cow, I've got this inventory, it's not selling. I need to do everything I can to reboot this listing, refresh it so that I start making those holiday sales now, because we are in a compressed time selling period and time is of the essence. So I absolutely would, because what it's going to cost you to reboot that listing and relist it compared to how much you can sell with an improved listing, with a fresh listing, with a listing that's getting found in search, could be the difference between selling nothing and selling your entire inventory out.
Okay. Next question is when you were talking about optimizing for mobile, so how large is too large? How many megabytes of an image would be too large for mobile,
You know,
roughly?
that is a very, very good question. And here's my recommendation. Because, and it depends on different mobile, as if they're on cell phone, if they're on tablet. I believe that in the eBay, I don't have the specifics right off the top of my head, but I believe that in the eBay help files, they actually have the dimensions of their recommendations for images that need to be optimized for mobile. I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't have those numbers specifically, but I would go to the eBay help files, do image search for mobile image optimization, eBay images, and read through that help file. And again, if you're not sure that you're doing it correctly, eBay is going to optimize all of the images that are hosted by eBay so that that eBay gallery, all those pictures are rendering perfectly on a cell phone on the smallest mobile device.
Yeah, because I know that eBay now likes the bigger pictures the better because of that new zoom feature.
Right. And so
So
what I'm wondering is, and this is
pixels
something to
versus
test,
megabytes.
and that's what I'm wondering is if see, the thing about the zoom feature is that eBay's got all of those listings presented at the top when you're looking on your mobile device. They've got all of those images, I mean, presented at the top. So my question, and then you can scroll and they can pop out. My question is that too big for the actual listing description? And I would go back and double check on that. My sense is that that is bigger than what you want to put in your description.
Right. I know eBay's basically encouraging to use their images,
Yeah.
especially going towards mobile, as opposed to putting them in the
Yep.
description, because you have to get into the description on mobile phones now. Anyways, you have to click to get into the description.
Right, exactly. And that's what eBay is trying to avoid. They're trying to get all that information pulled from the title, from their pictures, from item specifics, etc., so that the browser does not have to go into the description. And I know
Right.
it's kind
So,
of weird now for people who have template services from, some of the awesome companies, and their templates are optimized for mobile, and now eBay's kind of saying, we really want you just to use our images. So
right.
it's not a clear-cut answer.
And that's what makes it so tricky. And everybody's always said that eBay buyers don't read the description. Well, now on mobile devices, a lot of them aren't going into the description, so they're
Right.
not reading them. That is actually true now.
Yeah, it is. And if they do go in, eBay's stripping out all of the backgrounds and all of the stuff, and they're just leaving the text. And if you do have a big block of text with no bullet points and it's a mess, then it's kind of a done deal unless you've got your item specifics, I can say that, specifics filled in, etc. So it is a new world, and you know what? There's so many mobile sales now that for so
Yeah.
many years people were like mobile, mobile, mobile. I can ignore it, right? But you can't. It really will impact your sales.
Yeah, I know when I was at a conference in September, Rich Mitsur was saying more than 40% of the purchases on eBay are from mobile now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yep,
crazy and growing.
yep. Okay, and speaking of templates, can you give examples of companies with mobile-friendly templates? Example, Seller Sourcebook, Bigger Bigs, Activa. Do they have mobile-friendly templates, and are there others that are not so mobile-friendly?
Wow. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure who our sponsors are, and well, I know
none
who
of
our sponsors
those.
are, but I can't. I don't think I want to honestly name check companies because My understanding is that, the majority of the well-known companies that work with eBay, they have optimized their templates. But you know what? Here's the thing, you need to just contact them and find out, and don't just take people's words for it. If their support says, yeah, we're mobile friendly, and you test it and it's not working on your mobile device, then you've got to do the due diligence. And companies change their templates all the time. Something can break, something could, that didn't work yesterday could work today. So I don't really want to recommend or not recommend, because I think that people really need to do their due diligence.
Well, and then the other problem is even with desktop, I work with somebody and her template was beautiful in Chrome and in IE, but didn't work at all in Firefox.
Oh,
And it
oh
was like,
yeah.
so I mean, it's all those, there's a lot of weird things when it comes to templates, especially, and the other thing is if you have personally designed templates, that's another
Yes.
whole thing that you may need to talk to somebody to make sure you're optimized.
That's a really good point. If you've got a personally designed template, and I came across so many of them when I was pulling some examples for this webinar, a lot of those are broken, a lot of those are not working. A lot of people have, old companies that they've worked with, their logos are still in the template. You really do need to test your templates. I mean, Karen, you bring a great point, in all the browsers and on mobile.
Because they may be beautiful templates on one place, but that doesn't mean they try. Because the person I worked with had a beautiful custom template, and it didn't
It
work
didn't
because of
work.
one little setting over in Firefox.
And that's why simpler is better. I mean, templates are good, and now a lot of companies are designing much more streamlined templates. Whereas remember, the whole thing was to make it as artistic and beautiful as possible 5 years ago. But if you keep it simple and keep it straightforward and don't have an overly complex template, it's less likely to break as eBay makes changes, as the new cell phones come out, as the app gets updated. So keep it simple. Use your
Yeah,
creativity for your eBay buying guides, for your videos, for your Pinterest pins, but keep your listings clean and simple, and you won't have to redo them all the time.
perfect thought. Okay, for search purposes, and eBay has that condition box. Is it good or bad idea to say see item description and photos rather than repeating what is said in the description, which kind of goes with the mobile part?
So in the description, to just say see photos and description.
No, in that condition box that eBay gives
Oh,
us
in the
now.
condition box, rather than actually putting a actual full description in the description. Is
Right. Or yeah, in the description box, if you should just instead of rewriting item is new, should you write just see item description and photos?
No, I would actually put in a complete description. Here's the thing, buyers can be lazy, and you never know where they're going to land. So you want to make sure that however they're coming to your listing, wherever they land, whatever they want to look at, that all of that information is there that they need. And it's not so much a matter of repeating the same information verbatim in the description. It's hitting the high points like we did with that I showed you in the tent listing, and then using that description to add additional information that you can't put anywhere else. So, think of it as content. I mean, your eBay listing is basically a web page hosted by eBay. Everything that's in that description is content. So if there's two or three benefits or features that, should the buyer actually read your description, and I know a lot of buyers, they don't read them, they scan them. So if they see three bullet pointed features that they didn't know that this product had, that could be enough to sell them on your listing and not somebody else's.
Perfect, thank you. And I also know that eBay now, if there is a problem come feedback time, eBay looks at those item
Hmm.
specifics to make sure you spelled it out so they will decide whether a feedback stays or goes. Like if you sell a used pair of shoes and the buyer wrote, these are used and I didn't want used, eBay will take that out because you said clearly
That
in
it
the
was
item
used.
specifics
And
that it was used.
actually, you know what, I want to mention one other thing. If those item specifics, if you go and list against that item specifics and you see, okay, there's some specifics in here that don't fit my item, take that out. But also, if there are not pre-populated specifics that fit your item, you can add your your characteristics of your item in those item specifics. You can never be too
Exactly.
specific in item specifics. The only thing
And
don't put
speaking,
in there is the manufacturer of your product. This is someone I have a client who sells branded products, and somebody somewhere told them to put in the manufacturer. And so you don't want to put the manufacturer in because you do not want your competition to know where you're getting your inventory, but you can put the brand in. Absolutely put the brand in, but you don't have to put the actual source of who manufactured that product.
good idea. And speaking of item specifics, how do you handle item specifics for multi-variation listings? For example, this person offers a fleece jacket in 3 colors, yet the item specifics only lets her choose 1 color. What's the easiest way to specify that out?
Yeah, I know. That's crazy, huh? So what
It
I
is.
would do, and I don't know why, I don't understand that actually. I'm guessing that's kind of a future improvement. What I would do is I would do all of the item specifics that are common across all of the colors, so the brand, the fabric, etc. And then I would not deal with the color in the item specifics. It's totally goes against everything that we know that search is looking at item specifics for. But what you don't want to happen is you don't want to say, okay, I've got 12 colors, I put 1 color in, and now my listing is showing up frequently for this 1 color, but it's not showing up for the other colors. So,
Lisa, this is something that I brought up with Griff almost a year ago because I sell shoes and multi-variation listings, and he said that eBay was aware of it and was working on it. That was a year ago.
yeah.
So Scott Brown mentions that there is a manual field that you can add your own item specifics, and that he uses those to include all 3 colors.
Actually,
So you
that's
could
a
say
good point.
colors include, colors available or something as an item specific.
There you go. Yeah, Scott brings up a really good point. And you can also put that in the description, this comes in, these colors. But yeah, the manual field that's a really good suggestion.
Okay, and now here's another question, and this has to do with your description for your listing. This person wants to know your views on putting smoke-free, pet-free phrase in listings, particularly for clothing, especially pre-owned items, like she picks them up at thrift stores.
So, it used to be back in the day that everybody was saying this is a smoke-free house, a pet-free house, etc. That we've come so far in what buyers expect in terms of they kind of expect that this item is coming from a smoke-free, pet-free house, or if it's not coming from a smoke-free, pet-free house, that the inventory is going to be kept away from the pet hair and the smoke, etc. You know, I would focus on the condition of the item. So if the item is in really good condition, and it's obviously, for a fact that there's not smells. You know for a fact that you don't have 6 cats that are getting cat fur all over it. I actually think that that diminishes the professionalism of the listing. And you guys asked for my opinion based on what I know in terms of what buyers are looking for, in terms of what my students and clients do and what's working for them. I really do think that the days of, the smoke-free, pet-free, all of those kind of personalized condition type things that make it look like, okay, this is kind of stuffed in my back bedroom, but it doesn't smell. It really diminishes the professionalism of the listing. So I would really focus on talking about all of the benefits of the product, the good points of the product, and then, you can even say comes in a poly bag or whatever you're putting that product in, so people know, if it's something that might be a stuffed animal or something, um, how that item's going to be delivered to them. But I think that it's important to kind of think of it from the buyer's standpoint. And I'll tell you, when I read something that says smoke-free, pet-free house, I'm kind of like, okay, so then what else is there that I don't know about? It kind of calls attention to a problem that's not there. Now, if it does
Lisa, that's a
smell,
good, yeah, that's a good point. I think we should also put drug-free, so you see the point.
yeah. Or dust-free dirt. I mean, you could go dust-free,
Right,
dirt-free,
right.
kid-free. I mean,
Yeah.
bird-free.
It could get
Where
really
do you
long, yeah.
stop? So I say,
Well said.
don't bring up issues that they haven't thought about yet. When I go to eBay, although I have to tell you, my son bought some shoes from a guy the other day. He wore them once, and I tried to talk my son out of buying them. He photographed the shoes, and I'm not kidding you, his dirty jeans were like in the picture right next to the shoes. And I tried to talk Noah out of it. I'm like, that's just gross. So, but he really wanted these shoes and he swears up and down that he's convinced they're in good condition. We haven't gotten them. But your images go a long way too. If you have that product photographed with a clean background and it's not photographed on your table or your bed or whatever, that also furthers the professionalism of that product. And so you're not putting thoughts in the buyer's mind, or I am a trustworthy seller, or don't don't try and cheat me, or any of the things that people will put in eBay listings. The buyer wasn't thinking that. They just wanted a good product and they liked your product enough to click on your listing, and now all of a sudden you're introducing all of these negative thoughts that they might not even be aware of, but you're introducing them in your listing. You don't want to do that.
Very
Okay, so
true.
there's a question here I want you to address. Comment from one of the audience says, "You people are so store centric. Things are very different for closet cleaner sellers," as she refers to them. That they don't have to be this worry about smoke free, and smoke free is important. And I tend to disagree with that. I would like to hear what you think about that. Is it different for someone who's just cleaning out their closet? They don't need to be the professional, and they don't need to worry about using smoke free, or are your advice the same to someone who's cleaning out their closet versus someone who's selling repair wholesale inventory?
Well, my advice is the same no matter what you sell. Here's the thing. If you are going to sell products online and you want to make some money on your inventory, then you want to make as much money as you possibly can. So taking a decent picture, writing a good description, filling in item specifics, those are all things that are going to sell your product. And so you don't have to go over the top. So you're cleaning out your closet, right? And you're like, I just have some stuff that I want to get rid of. So you don't have to go out there and buy a fancy lighting setup. You do not have to go and sign up for a template. You may not even have to go to Pinterest. You may not even need to do any marketing unless the product doesn't sell. But think about it from a buyer perspective. Nobody wants to buy a product that's photographed on someone's bed. That's just like gross. If you're gonna photograph it, put it on a table, put a white piece of paper underneath it, photograph it in some bright daylight, get a close up of the image. Put a good title so it can be found, and fill in, your item description and your item specifics, because otherwise you've gone to all this work to clean out your closet, put an item on eBay, and that your time, in my opinion, is money. So if you spent 3 hours on a Saturday doing this stuff, that's 3 hours of your life that if you don't actually put together a listing that looks good, that's a cost. I mean, to me, that's a life cost. So I don't think you need to go overboard. You don't need to do a YouTube video if you don't want to.
Mhm.
But if you've got items that you want to sell and you want to have a chance of being found, you do have to do the basics if you want stuff to sell.
Well, and I know a lot of people don't like anything that's photographed on a floor.
Oh,
They,
yeah, it's
really,
nasty.
that makes, and a lot of people don't think about that when they just are a hobby seller. They just take a picture wherever something fits. But having a picture on the floor can make some buyers just write you off before they've even looked at what you're selling.
I mean, I guess my feeling about it is if you really are not that interested in selling the product and making sure, that a buyer's going to look at it and go, cool, I think I'll pay for this. I tried very hard to talk my son out of buying these $60 Nikes because they're sitting right there next to the guy's dirty jeans. And he's a teenager. He's like, "But mom, I've wanted these shoes forever and they're only $60." And it's like, "Okay, fine. Your money, you can
Well,
spend it." But
and
then send it to Goodwill. Why waste your time selling it if you're not actually going to try and at least do a basic listing? You don't have to
yeah,
go
and
overboard.
there's always those infamous reflective images that have made it all
I
over the
know.
world. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
All right. I have like 4 more questions, and we're running on to a 2-hour webinar here. So
I
let's see.
have 10 more that have come in since you started stop counting.
Oh, well, we'll at least get these. This one should be really quick. Shipping is the number one unrealistic issue for overseas buyers. How do we get this across to them?
It's a hard
I heard that
situation.
sigh.
I know. It's a hard situation. I mean, it's expensive. It's hard to get them to understand that. Yet global sales are critical to a thriving eBay
Yep.
business. So, I mean, in terms of charging what you have to charge and in terms of, communicating it to the buyer, I mean, obviously you're going to have to do it so you can cover your costs. Some people cost average, so some countries are more expensive, some countries are less expensive. Maybe it's going to be that there are certain products that you limit that you're not going to ship overseas because there's just too many problems, but you still want to grow a business with a specific product line. I have to say that it overseas and global sales, it really is necessary because that's where the growth is going to be. And there's no easy answer. I wish there was. And I'm hoping that maybe it's going to get better, but this year has not been a good year in terms
I
of.
think, yeah. I think as we get more and more globalized, though, hopefully the customs in some of these countries will not be like Russia was this year, the big hang up for things
Oh,
getting there
yeah,
and
it's
things.
crazy. And the other thing
You
too about the holidays is, the delivery times are going to be much longer than, the USPS quotes. It always happens. And so you really have to protect yourself in terms of setting proper expectations. So don't overpromise and then get yourself in a situation where the thing gets stuck and your customer's unhappy.
Yeah, because I know Russia, what was it, a 3 to 6 month backlog at one
Yeah,
point? They
can
had
you?
stopped taking stuff in.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, not good.
Okay, here's another one. What format is better for the holidays? 7-day auction, fixed price, and will eBay offer more free offers? Do you think that will help out with that?
And the first option was 7-day auction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will tell you, as far as eBay offering more listing promotions, I don't know, but I'm assuming that they probably will. Here's the thing about holiday buyers. Holiday buyers do not want to wait for the auction to end. They want to be able to come in, make the purchase, pay for it, and get the product. So there are certain categories, obviously collectibles, one of a kind, where you might want to do an auction because you're going to get a lot more for that product than if you did fixed price. There's a lot of people who say, I do some auctions because I get more traffic to my store, which I mean, I see it, it happens. However, for the majority of your new consumer goods, I would do a fixed price. I would do a 7-day listing. If you do a 30-day listing and those items are not selling, then I would end that listing, shorten it up, and list it for 7 days. The other thing that I did not mention, this is super, super important, is that if you do have a listing that's an old listing, but it's been selling a lot of inventory, whatever you do, do not cancel that. Because if your listing has been selling a lot of inventory, even if it's 6 months old, eBay loves that listing. So for the holidays, the next 2.5 months, focus on as much fixed price listings as you can. Actually, the other thing is if you've got stuff where you've got a lot of quantity, don't list I've got 500 quantity. Say maybe, I've got 10, so you've got a little bit of scarcity going there. So you want to do what you can to make sure that that buyer can get the product quickly. The latest numbers from eBay, auctions were at like 30% of sales, 70% fixed
Yep.
price. This was on eBay Radio, like the last time I was on. Well, I was on yesterday, but the time before that we were talking about that. It's like 70-30.
Well, I know I have one of a kind things and they're collectible. So I run them through auction the first time every single time. But no matter what day I'm listing them on, I always make sure they end on the day that I know my stuff sells because I know that my buyers are only there that day. I very rarely get bids. I always end on Sunday, and I barely get bids whatever day I list it through Sunday, but Sunday they will bid.
Yeah, you know
It
what?
just,
And the other thing too is if you're not sure, Terapeak is a great tool because they will show you, when buyers were buying your products, what, and you can do a search on that product and see,
yep,
so was it fixed price that was selling? Was it auction? But also
yep,
remember, not for your stuff, Karen, because I
yep,
100% agree with your strategy for unique one of a kind item, but for new consumer goods, also remember that buyer patterns change during the holidays because they're just frantic to get their
exactly.
product.
Yeah. But I mean, it's funny, unless I have something that's really, really hot, I will never get a bid till the day it sells. And roughly 30% of what I list at auction will sell on a given Sunday.
Hmm.
So, you know that the people are going to come if you know your market, especially because
Yes.
I have a niche. If you know your market, you know what day they're going to buy on. So I know that my day is Sunday. If I list it any other day, I don't get nearly the same, or I end it on any other day. I don't get nearly the same turnover.
And every category has a different day. A
Yes.
lot of
Exactly.
people think,
And they
oh,
change, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
it may be for toys that the moms are shopping Wednesday night after the kids go to bed, or they're shopping
Yep.
early Saturday morning because they've got a full day of holiday activities and they've got to get up. Or you know what the big day is for a lot of new consumer goods, and a lot of
Hmm.
goods in general, is Monday because everybody goes to work
Awesome.
on Monday, and you know what they
Hmm.
do from the office? They shop.
They
I've been
do.
noticing that Monday morning sales,
Yeah.
especially on Amazon. All right, how are we doing on the questions, Karen?
I have three more. Can I get to
Oh,
them, Lisa? Do you have
yeah.
time?
I'm good. I'd love to stay.
Okay. Next question. Does eBay search the entire description for keywords, or if not, do we know how many characters they do search?
So, what eBay has publicly stated is that they do mine the description. They have not said, we look at the first, I don't know, 300 characters or the bottom 300 characters. So, they have not said that. It used to be that Google would come and look at those descriptions and they were looking at maybe the top 300 characters and the bottom 300 characters. But again, it's now what you really want to focus on is, am I providing good quality content in that description? Not too much, not too little, just enough to say what the customer needs to make the purchasing decision. And what would you say to that customer if you were trying to sell that product face to face? But no, eBay has not, to my knowledge, has not said, we only look at the first three lines of your description. I'll tell you what I think. Just based on what I know about Cassini and the way search works, I believe that they're looking at the entire description because they're
Yeah,
so
that.
specific and so granular now. They're just looking for
Yeah.
any piece of information to affirm that, yep, this is the listing we want to serve up in search.
So as we're speaking on this, because I was working with somebody and he had this whole big template designed and stuff, and my question for you now is, you know how in the beginning, or not the beginning, in the middle of eBay, you wanted your payment and returns and shipping and all that information in your description. Do you feel we still want it there now because of search and because of everything else?
I
Mobile.
No, I don't feel that we want it there, and neither does eBay. Gosh, it's been a couple years ago now that they came out and said, we have these specific tabs that we want people to look for the shipping information, for the return information. So we have these fields that we're looking for that information in search, but we are trying to get a consistent look and feel to our listings, and so that buyers know that in every single listing, I can look right here in the same place and find out what's the seller's return policy, what is their shipping policy. And some of those listing examples that I showed today that were not mobile friendly and that were not cleaned up, where, there's the paragraph about I ship here and I return here, people don't read that. They really don't read
No.
that. And that's what those fields are for in the eBay listing description. So, no, I think that it needs to be cleaned out. I think it needs to be focused specifically on the product features and benefits. If you have a template that you have had done and it's well designed, and the template designer has a field in there that's already in the template where it's a really streamlined, scannable section for returns information and for shipping information. I'm not saying that you have to go and have your whole template ripped up and torn out and um, uh, redo it. But
Yeah.
if it's a listing that you're creating and you're writing it and you're putting paragraphs of information in it, then no, I wouldn't put it in there. As for new template designs, it's tough because template designers really want to put together kind of the complete um, picture.
Package.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it really depends on how the template is done. Again, the problem is the more stuff you put in your template, if you've got to change something or if something breaks, it's just potentially going to cause more problems. And I don't know, but my gut is telling me that in 2014, and I have no inside information. Maybe you guys do. I think
Nope.
eBay is going to go towards a much more standardized, required listing description that they are going to basically,
Yep.
determine.
Or it'll be tied to your TRS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our template's
Um,
going to maybe go away. I'm hearing rumblings of that, but I don't know. I don't want to start a panic.
well, but honestly, I have long-term eBay sellers that I am now. One of the jobs I'm doing is stripping out templates from their
Yeah.
listings. So that is going. A lot of people are feeling that, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I certainly
Can
wouldn't
you?
spend money. I would not go drop money on templates right now. Well, first of all, not
Nope.
no, because it's the holiday, but I wouldn't do anything until we find out what's going on in 2014. I would just write a
Yeah,
really
because
clean listing.
stores have totally changed this week. So
Yeah.
yeah, that made a whole bunch of changes. I just changed mine over. Can you write an Can you write a buyer guide if you're not on eBay as a seller? Meaning, can buyers write buying guides?
That's a good question. I believe well, you have to have an account. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to have
Right.
an
So you'd have to
eBay
be a
user
member.
ID, so I guess technically you could. I'm not sure. I've
And
never
then
actually looked at it from the buyer side. I've only looked at it from the seller side. If you were a
Well,
buyer,
and you'd have to watch the ROI on that because since they are on the eBay site, you can't link to anything
yeah,
right.
except
Well,
what's the point?
that was part of her question. This was our Etsy
Ah,
seller that was here. I guess our webinars are being promoted over at Etsy, which is really
yeah, we
cool.
just
interesting.
found that out
Yeah,
today.
do not write an eBay buying guide and link to your Etsy store, your
That's what I
Amazon
told her.
store,
I
your
did not think
website.
you could
Yeah.
do that.
No, and that's another thing too. If you're a seller, even though you've got more flexibility in the buying guide, please do not link to your website or your Amazon store. It's not a free for all. eBay will take them down.
Yes.
All right. When you go to refreshing your listings, and this is a long, involved debate that keeps happening, so we'll try to keep it short. In bulk, can you do sell similar? And I said I didn't think so. But which is better, sell similar or relist?
You want to list fresh because sell similar will technically is a fresh listing, but what too many people do is they just end the listing, hit sell similar, and they don't rework the listing. So
Okay.
is doing if you were to rework the listing by doing a sell similar, is that going to give you the same boost in search that a brand new listing is? I don't know. eBay has not indicated. My From what I have seen and from, my clients and students who have done this, they have gotten the best results with a fresh listing. Cassini looks at 100 different things or more in terms of determining where to rank that listing. And I don't know where sell similar fits into that. It is supposed to be better than just doing a relist, but I wouldn't take any chances during the holiday selling season. I would start fresh. I would rework it. And the other thing is just starting fresh makes you kind of rethink this. Like, okay, what do I need to do to really ramp up and amp up the power of this listing description and title?
Well, and I know one of the tricky things when you do a relist, I think it's a relist, is eBay, and a lot of people don't always know this, is that eBay goes back to your original quantity, not whatever you have available.
Yeah.
So then you get stuck in the potential of overselling because if you don't know that little tidbit, and I've done it many times, so that's why I know that tidbit, you run into it. Why relist goes to the original quantity and not the quantity available? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Which
Well,
is,
I'm fine because I'm sitting over here with a nice hot cup of hot cocoa with marshmallows my husband just brought me. But we have a lot of people saying they have to head out to meetings. So I was thinking, if you're done, Karen, with
I
the
just had one last I had one last question, and then I'm done. But we can always put it on our over on our TRS page.
Oh no, go ahead. I just wanted to see how we were.
Do we have to set up a business account with Pinterest for effective marketing and pinning? Oh,
Absolutely, 100% yes. It's free. It's easy to do. But you do want to set up a business account so that you can, as Pinterest introduces more benefits to business account users, and I'm part of Pinterest, their beta testing business adventure program.
Cool.
They've got some cool stuff coming down the pike next year for businesses.
Excellent.
And one thing that you can't do with a business account is you cannot verify your eBay store URL directly from eBay so that people can actually click on that link in your description. But here's a quick trick, and if you guys have questions, we can take that offline. But basically what you do is you take your domain name that redirects to your eBay store. You get a cheap little hosting package. Sometimes your email service provider, wherever you bought your domain, they're going to give you like free hosting for whatever, and you drop that Pinterest verification code in that little hosting space, and now you've actually verified that domain that redirects to your Pinterest account. I talk about that in my Pinterest for e-commerce course.
You're so smart. And that's a good lead in, because someone said they went over to your site to go to pinterestfreecommerce.com and tried to register, but they kept getting an error message. This is reserved for members only. So would you remind them how to get in touch with you for customer support?
Yes. whatdoisellsupport.com.
There you go. So whatdoisellsupport.com.
Yeah, and I'll have to check that, because pinterestforecommerce.com with FOR, pinterestforecommerce.com, should be, the details of the program with an opportunity. The course is $37. The video series is $37. They may have somehow gone to our members area.
Okay, well, that should get them set up if they go to your customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. Check in with my team, and I'll check that. We'll check that out.
Okay. And Steve is chiming in saying that in his experience, Sell Similar starts a fresh listing, but if you relist, you keep that past history. And that's what my experience has been too. Is that what you see, Lisa?
Yeah, that is, to my knowledge, how it's supposed to be. But I'm I'll tell you, I mean, I'm going to the side of being conservative and saying start fresh, because I'm seeing, with my students and my clients that start fresh with a brand new listing, they're getting completely different results in search even than doing Sell Similar, even though that's my understanding too, is that Sell Similar is supposed to be a brand new listing.
That is what they were putting out. I got that information straight from Griff and some of the eBay people.
Yeah,
so that is what eBay was saying.
And again,
however,
yeah, eBay's not saying that, eBay's not saying, oh, if you do Sell Similar, we're not going to give you as much of a boost in search. So here's my philosophy. Try the easiest thing, which is Sell Similar, rework your listing, and if you're not getting your results, then try starting fresh.
Start fresh. Right.
So that would be the key. Reworking the listing, not just Sell Similar.
Yes, that is the key. That is the most important key, is reworking that listing from head to toe.
Because I believe with Sell Similar, all you're doing is erasing its past history. However, as we know and we've been told, Cassini is a learning algorithm.
Right.
Perhaps Cassini has learned that trick. You never know.
See, and that's what I think, is that it's very possible that Cassini, because it's a learning algorithm, that it's already associating some attributes from that previous listing with the new listing. And if those attributes aren't good, then that's going to impact the new listing. Wouldn't it be great to get the Cassini search engineer guy on and ask him these questions?
We've actually had him on. We did.
Did he? Did you ask him this question?
You'll have to listen to that one. Yes, we did. It was a very interesting webinar, and you can find that on our YouTube channel if you're looking.
I missed that one. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was Hugh Williams. And wait, I just lost something. I had a question, and now you made me lose it.
Oh, it's on my.
Oh, and it had to do with the whole Sell Similar and the learn. Oh, Well, and the other thing too that people have to remember now is in eBay's latest terms of service, it does not guarantee that your listing will be seen.
I know.
Yes.
And yeah, that's been a big shock over the past few weeks.
That's been reverberating throughout the community, hasn't it?
It
Okay.
that reverberating, yes. That
That's a good word.
and
Yes.
you know what? And this is another reason why if you have to focus on something, focusing on refreshing your listings so that at least you've done everything humanly possible that you can do to get that
Right.
Yep.
listing ranked in
Right.
search. And so that and
Right.
one of the things that they talked about this whole we're going to suppress your stuff, they were really focused on those stale listings, those listings that have been sitting there that
Yes.
are not performing because in eBay's view, if they're not performing, they do not want to show them to anybody. So that's why this whole number one thing that I talked about refreshing those stale listings, and eBay says 6 to 9 months. I'm like, no, 90 days. If it's not
Yeah.
selling, if it's selling slow, blow it away and get
Something's
rid of it
wrong.
and start
Yeah.
over. Because my gosh, you do
Absolutely.
not want to be suppressed in
Right. You don't
no
want to be
one wants,
paying for
yeah.
something you're not getting. Oh, okay. All right. So the questions I got after Karen pulled all the ones she had, they came in while you guys were talking. Is abbreviation bad? And the poster was specifically talking about using Xmas instead of Christmas, those kinds of abbreviations. Is that bad for search engines?
No, it's not. A lot of people type in Xmas as opposed to Christmas. What I would do is, I go to the eBay search there in the on the home page and, try and type in your keywords for your product and then append Xmas. Um, you can put if it's especially if it's like a Christmas tree ornament or something that has to do specifically with Christmas, you can use both. I would put
Mm-hmm.
the proper keyword Christmas first. So put your most important keywords left to right. The most important keyword should be at the left, and then the least important keyword should be at the right. Um, some people are not going, if you've got something that's like I don't know, a black dress, I'm not going to put Xmas as a keyword. So it really depends on what your product is, but you can use Xmas as a variation. I every year do a list of the top searched keywords during the
Mm-hmm.
holidays, and it's going to be a lot more difficult this year thanks to my friends at Google.
Google?
But
Mm-hmm.
yes, Xmas is a very, very top search keyword. The other thing you could
Okay,
do
but
is go to Google Trends and do a search for
right.
that keyword
Mm-hmm.
phrase, but it's not bad. It's absolutely
No,
not
it's not a
bad.
bad word, but that's approaching it as a keyword. I think what she was asking is, abbreviations, does the search Cassini or Google pick them up? And I think the answer to that is it depends, isn't it, Lisa? You have to test it and see if you put in Xmas, is it going to pick up Christmas?
If
Hmm.
you put in Xmas, it's going to pick up Xmas. If you put in
There you
Christmas, it's
go.
going to pick up Christmas. Is Xmas going to pick up Christmas since it's a related keyword? I don't know. Google generally will do related keywords like that, but I would put them both. I wouldn't put one in and not the other. So you want to put
Right.
Christmas
Okay.
and Xmas because I
So
highly
yes.
doubt that Xmas is getting picked up as Christmas.
Okay, great. And we had some good information come in from Maida at the webinar. She says that she and her husband, who've been doing video marketing for about a year or so, I think, they're getting a check every month from YouTube for about $150 just by checking that box that says monetize your YouTube videos. So that was an interesting idea for a revenue stream. Have you heard that from your clients also?
Okay, I just have to take a moment, Kat, to shine the spotlight on Maida and her husband Bill, owners
Isn't
of
she
Connectables.
amazing?
They have been students. We met, Maida and I met when I spoke at eBay Live in '07 in Boston. And so I feature them in a lot of my YouTube training because she's humble. These guys are killing it with YouTube videos. They've got videos that have hundreds of thousands of views for their collectible toys where they took the
Mhm.
camera, they put the toy in action, or they just showed the different toy and put some music to it, and they have literally hundreds of thousands of views on their YouTube channel. And they do phenomenal
Wow.
basic 30-second videos. and to the point where they were so successful, Google contacted them and they were like, "Hey, dudes, you want to put?" Well, I don't think they said dudes, but you want to put a
Knowing Google, they probably
they
did.
might have, yeah. And so yeah, so anyway, they started monetizing their YouTube videos with YouTube video revenue, which you absolutely can do. And so now they're getting this income stream, but they get tons of traffic. They annotate, just like I talked about.
Hmm.
All of the YouTube stuff, I always feature them because they're phenomenal. And it's just, they've got the video camera and they just do a short little video of the product and people love those videos and a lot of them are
Awesome.
vintage toys.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
they're
a
asking in the
whiz.
chat.
Made us
They're
awesome.
they're amazing, and she said hugs back to you in the chat
Yeah.
room. They're asking about the name of your store, Maida, and where they can find your YouTube channel. And then someone else asked, "How do I monetize?" And I believe on one of I manage about 5 different YouTube channels, and on 2 of them there is actually a button there that says monetize your videos. On the others there isn't. Now you're saying that Maida was contacted. So if you're getting a YouTube channel started, what would you suggest as far as monetize?
Yeah, and Meta was contacted several years ago. It's changed a bit. So, what it is now is you put up your videos and you have to optimize them. You have to put up good content. Don't use music from, a rock band or whatever that's not royalty-free music. And once you put up those videos and start getting some traffic to them, you will get generally an email from YouTube saying, would you like to monetize this video? If you are someone who has already been doing videos and you've got, I mean, basically what YouTube wants to make sure is that you're putting up good videos, you're not stealing other people's content, you're consistent, and then they will contact you.
Okay, and Maida says you can't monetize if you have music on it, even if it's approved music. So be very careful if you're doing
Oh,
that.
that's interesting. I've got
Okay.
some that are monetized and I've got royalty-free music. Hmm.
Ah,
And I don't even have any
wonder if that's
warnings in my
something
YouTube
new.
account.
And she said she just looked and she has 3,619,594 views.
Wow.
So for those of you who are saying, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't have a voice that goes on camera. I don't want to put my makeup on. I don't want to be." That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is product demo
Yep.
videos, unboxing videos, showing their products. And because their products are so cool, which by the way, to get into the audio portion, the store name again is Connectables. Connectibles. So for those of you interested in that.
And the
And I
Okay.
know, well, and I
Mhm.
know Maida has picked up some really cool stuff lately that she's been selling. I see her in Connecticut, so
She's amazing.
Okay.
yep.
She's amazing at
Well,
sourcing. And you know what's cool about those videos is because
mhm.
there's so many views, her product may be long since sold out 3, 4 years ago, but people see the cool things that they have in their store. They follow that little
Mhm.
annotation on the video and they go over to the store and buy something else because they just have this constant influx of new amazing inventory.
Love that. Okay, questions about pictures, Lisa. You knew these were coming. You covered it very well, but we still have questions. eBay says, please, and I got it quoted to me in the chat room, please use a picture that is at least 1,600 pixels on one side. And then another place they say, I'm only using 500 web pictures. So can you explain, yes, they want big pictures, and here's where you put them, and then what were you talking about having the smaller pictures? Can you go over that again real quick?
So the eBay gallery pictures, so those are the ones that are hosted by eBay where they're saying 1600 pixels on the shortest side. Um, those are so that buyers can hover over those pictures and it can enlarge the picture so people can see more detail. But there are some templates, and these are mostly templates that have been around for a while, where those pictures are hosted by the template company. So maybe it's hosted by Channel Advisor, maybe it's hosted by Octiva, and I think each company does it a little bit different. But basically, what they're doing in the listing is they're resizing the picture so that it fits into the listing, but it cannot be enlarged like you can do with an eBay gallery picture. Um, you're really, unless you're using currently a listing template and they're doing the resizing and you've tested it and it looks good, honestly, I wouldn't put pictures in your listing description. I really would go with the standard eBay photos, do as many as possible, size them the way eBay wants them. I have no proof of this, but I believe that eBay looks at listings and says, how many of these things in the listings that we want are people doing? And I think that if you're utilizing their photo system, you're probably somewhere in that Cassini algorithm, probably getting, a check in the positive column. Again, I have no proof, but there's a reason why they want people to stop putting their own stuff in the description and start using their
Mhm.
system.
And in the past, eBay has been pushing, pushing, pushing and gotten a lot of pushback on issues like free shipping, etc. And what's come out after the long term looking back is that eBay really knew that was the best for the sellers.
Yeah.
So in my long experience with eBay, and you may disagree with this, you in the audience, but if they're suggesting something, go for it. Follow what they're saying. Generally speaking, it's because they know that helps sales.
Yes, and because they do a lot of testing on it. And the other thing, generally speaking, because they've got already the next plan laid out, and one
Yep.
thing builds on the next, builds on the next,
Right.
and I don't know. I guess,
And all that data,
yeah,
all that data they have, Lisa, like they finally released that data that if you have the fast and free icon, your sales go up
yeah.
11%. They've got so much data like that they can look at. Okay, great. And Misha says that Griffin Lee talked a lot about embedded photos. That's one of our sponsors, eBay Radio. They don't show up well on mobile. I want mobile sales and I'm not embedding. So we got to convert. Thank you,
Woohoo!
Misha.
Yes.
Okay, Cynthia wants to know about Twitter. We talked a lot about Pinterest because it's such a big conversion. And you mentioned Facebook, of course. What about Twitter as far as marketing your holiday items?
So if you have a following on Twitter, you can definitely use Twitter to market. I mean, the way that you're going to get sales off of Twitter is you've got to have people who actually see your tweets. So if you're Dell Computers and you have multiple millions following you on Twitter and you put out a Twitter only coupon and that drives $1 million day in sales, Twitter's awesome. But if you are a solopreneur and you have 50 people following you on Twitter and you put out a promotion or you introduce a new product, your results are not going to be obviously as good as Dell's. That being said, I am a firm believer in leveraging what I call satellite marketing opportunities. So
Mm-hmm.
you get some people from Pinterest, you get some people from Facebook, you get some people from Twitter, you get some people from YouTube. And the more places that your products can be found in different pockets of the web, the more you're going to build that inbound traffic into your eBay store to your eBay listings specifically. However, if you are in a situation right now where you're going into the holiday and you're like, whoa, I have time maybe to manage one or two marketing initiatives this year on top of refreshing my listings. We have to prioritize. So, number one, Pinterest. Number two, eBay buying guides. If you've got a Facebook page up and running, you want to keep that active. It takes 2 seconds to put together a Twitter post. But if you have no followers and you're spending more time putting together a post on Twitter or a tweet than you are doing Pinterest, then you're not focusing in the right area. So really Twitter works if you've got people who are following you.
And ROI is always what it's about.
Yeah,
Good point.
absolutely.
Great comment we got from Amy. She says she lists pinning her listings as her last step. It's every time she lists something, she includes that in her
I
steps.
love
Good idea.
that. Amy, that's
Yeah, we're
awesome.
taking that one, Amy.
That is so awesome
Thank you
because
for
you
that,
know what?
Amy.
That's making marketing, that's brilliant. That's making
Mhm.
marketing as part of the listing process. So that product is
Yes.
not listed until it's also been marketed on Pinterest. That's awesome, Amy.
Yep. I love that. I thought it was so
Yeah, it
genius. Thank
is.
you
It's
for sharing
brilliant.
that, Amy. Okay, another question from the audience. Gladys says bullet points. Google is saying don't do bullet points, but eBay and others like you are saying bullet points help to organize the listing. So what do you do about bullet points? Have you heard that Google doesn't like them, or what's that about?
I have not heard that Google doesn't like bullet points. I'd be really curious. I don't know where that, and I'm up
Okay,
on Google. I'm reading Google stuff every single day.
okay.
It could be in context with anything. I don't know if it's in context
Well,
with pro
she's talking specifically about product search
about
in that
product search.
Google product search.
Okay, so Google Shopping, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's a completely separate thing. So if Google does not want bullet points in Google product search, then you definitely do not want to do those in Google product search. eBay individual listings these days are very rarely found in the search engines. Remember back in like the early 2000s when you could type in your keywords and up would pop your listing in Google and it was like so awesome. And then things really changed in 2008 where eBay is more sending people to categories of listings or search curated searches, search results, sending them back to those. So what you want to do in terms of any type of formatting is you always want to format where that primary buyer is going to be looking for your specific listing. So in eBay's case, absolutely you want to do bullet points to organize your listing information. Um,
For your Google shoppers.
yeah. And and it, it's I would have to go back and look specifically more at what Google is saying about bullet points to really address that question, which I'm going to actually go take a look at that. Um,
Good one, Gladys.
so yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually a really good question, but for eBay, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
because Google product search is I mean, people, and I think a lot of people get what they hear about Google product search or Google shopping and Google confused, like the whole when we went
I
in, we
think
just,
Google has it confused,
yeah,
Karen.
well,
They keep changing
I
it.
don't know if you saw it, but there was just a whole discussion today about the whole
Yes,
duplicate listing thing again, and it's
yes,
like that's Google shopping, that's not Google organic.
Right.
yeah,
They're
definitely.
different.
Lots and lots of changes. eBay, Google, all of them, all of the above.
Constant.
So great. And Gladys, thank you so much for that link. We'll grab that after the webinar. She'll
Yeah,
put a link
thank you,
in there for
Gladys.
what we're
I'm
using.
gonna go take a look at that.
You see, we have such smart listeners. We have
It's
a great audience.
awesome.
Okay. And here's another thing from our Etsy person who was here asking questions. She wanted to let you and the rest of us know that on Etsy you can you redo or refresh your listings every 4 months. So an Etsy listing is no longer than 4 months, and then they make you relist it. So that was interesting.
And
One of our
that, it's really interesting too because when Google is constantly looking for fresh content, Etsy is looking for fresh
yes,
content. Pinterest is looking for fresh content. Fresh, relevant content is really the direction that everybody's going in terms of search. So it's not anymore like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just going to put up 2,000 products and let them sit in my store for 4 years."
set it and forget it doesn't
No,
work
it
anymore, does it,
doesn't.
Lisa?
And
No,
you
no.
may
Okay,
sell something, but this is a really important point. People say, "Well, do I have to make these changes? I'm selling some stuff." Sure, you may be selling stuff, but how much more could you be selling if you made these changes?
Hmm.
okay, but then now I have a quick question, and probably not quick, but I'm going to try to make it quick. Now, the other problem, though, is okay, so we're putting links all over the world. We're putting them on Pinterest. We're putting them on Facebook. We're doing whatever. But when we do relists or sell similars or freshes, doesn't that break all those links?
It does.
Not if you use Social Beacon.
Well, okay, there you go, Kat. Talk about Social Beacon a bit.
Social Beacon is the new software to handle your social selling. And what it does, that is called link rot. That is where you put all these links out, and then, like Karen said, the item sells, and all of a sudden you got these dead links all over the web.
Or you do
Especially,
a sell similar and end it.
right,
It's a dead
right.
link.
Social Beacon so far is the only place that you are going to be able to list your links on Pinterest and your links on Facebook and your links on Twitter. And when those links expire, Social Beacon is going to fix them. So if you have a question about that, please go to socialbeacon.com and sign up for the beta. PageMage is one of our big sponsors here at Top Rated Seller Webinars, and their new product, Social Beacon, is going to be amazing. I don't want to oversell it, but I'm telling you, Lisa, it will revolutionize social media. It really
It
will.
will. I totally agree. And what's really cool is that we're going to start to see more and more products to help us calculate ROI directly from these
ROI,
social
that's the other big thing.
sites. And,
Hmm.
the link rot thing is a big issue. And so I love
Yes.
PageMage. They're
Me
they're
too.
very
And
innovative.
yep. Absolutely. And good comments. Bob Smith says that he had some issues with bullet. I asked him what points. He said that the formatting was all messed up in his eBay listings when he tried to use bullet points. So he switched to using a caret, and those seem to be working.
Yeah,
Not
that
sure
works.
why.
It could be a dash, it could be a bullet point, it
Just
could be a
something.
caret, it could be an asterisk.
And Gladys says that she left aligns her description without the bullets to be compliant with Google Products, eBay, and mobile. So that works for her. Thank you, Sherry, for that, or Gladys, for that idea. Sherry says that the Social Beacon, Eric's done a great job, and I've been using their beta. Yeah, the main thing is the link rot and also the analytics.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard of Social Beacon, head on over to socialbeacon.com. They're still accepting beta testers.
I haven't. I just haven't found the time yet to actually. But then we all know Karen doesn't do marketing real well. Anyways.
Karen has family crises every fourth quarter. It happens. Okay. Now, question. They want this answer for mobile pictures. How big is too big? We talked about, 500. We talked about 1,600. How big is too big for mobile?
Do we, Kat, when we post the replay, is there a place where we can add this information? Because I don't want to.
Yes.
I want to be 100% correct on the numbers, and I can't pull them up right off the top of my head. So can we post that somewhere?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can
We
put
can
it
put it in the PDF.
in the TRS. Yeah,
Yes.
and we can put it in the PDF, and we can also put it in the TRS webinars site, Facebook group, so
Right,
people
and we
can.
often do Q&A documents too, so we'll try to get that
Perfect.
together.
Okay,
also.
I will find out
Yeah.
that information specifically and verify
Okay.
it, because I've seen a couple different things, and we will get that information out to everybody.
Fantastic. 3 more. Y'all stop typing in the chat box. Just kidding. What are your suggestions on item specifics for vintage? The poster sells vintage hand linens, vintage table linens, and she struggles with item specifics for those. Any specific ideas for vintage type items and item specifics?
Well, if you know the materials, if you know kind of what the era was, if you know anything about that era, depending on what the cost of the item is and how much time you have, you could do a little bit of research to see if there's a specific type of process that was used in the materials. Obviously, dimensions, any type of style number, who created the product, if it's got a mark sign on the bottom. Those are the types of things that I would put into vintage item specifics. If it's hand painted or if it has some type of special curation process, glazing process, those are the types of things I would put in item specifics. Anything that makes it
Great.
unique.
Great. And Karen and I have a friend, I think you know her too, Beth Cherkowski from Depression Glass Warehouse, and she's been doing this for the past 6 months with her Depression Glass and other listings. She's been putting out the purpose of the item. She calls it the who, what, when, why, and where. Any of those questions you can ask, she's been adding those particular item specifics, and her sales have really increased since she's been doing that. So I would encourage
That's
those doing it.
awesome.
And
That's brilliant. And the thing is it goes back to, what does a customer need to know to buy this product?
right.
And could you tell them, I mean, we talked about it for holiday, like, okay, so can you suggest to them ways to use your item? Well, you don't have to do that just for holiday. I mean, like Beth's doing, it's like, this could be used for multiple purposes, or for this purpose or that purpose. So people are like, okay, now I know what to do with this. I love it. I want to buy it, but what do I do with
Right.
it?
Right, purpose, what do you use it for, where do you put it, anything you can think of, details of the product. Okay, speaking of item specifics, evidently you cannot add a new item specific on mobile, because on mobile you can fill in the ones that are there, but you can't add them. So what do you recommend if they're listing on mobile? Is it worth the trouble of going to their desktop and adding those individual item specifics?
If the individual item specifics, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay, great.
yeah,
Yeah,
item
I
specifics.
didn't
And
know that.
I don't know why that, again, that's another one of those technical glitches that it's like, that's a pretty important thing.
Yes, I think so
Well,
too.
and I know some of the people that are doing the beta mobile testing or working with eBay are mentioning things like that,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
why you can't do bullet points on the Android, but you can on the iPhone, and a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
Right. So there are. I mean, the mobile's a fantastic listing tool, but there are issues that they're working on. So if I would say it was a return on investment again, Lisa. If I'm listing a $5 item, $10 item, which why would you do that? But anyway, I wouldn't go to the trouble. If I was listing a $50 item, I would probably probably go in and spruce it up.
Exactly.
Your
And the
thoughts?
other thing, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got to be worth the time. And, the other thing for holidays specifically, since that's what we're talking about, is if you've got this list of holiday inventory that you really want to sell by December 25th, then don't use mobile to list it. List it on your computer, fill it out completely. And then the other stuff, maybe you're out and you see something and, you're planning on listing it because you want to sell it in January. You can just list it on mobile and then go back and fix it if you want. But for the holiday stuff, because we really only have 62 days for that core holiday gift giving season, and
Yep.
then of course we've got another, what, 5 weeks, 4 weeks about till the third week of January. This is the time. I mean, think about it. Many e-commerce merchants make the bulk of their yearly income during this time period. So it's a different thing that we're talking about in terms of really optimizing those holiday specific products.
Amen. Okay, two questions about shoes and one about Pinterest. Is it possible to determine if shoes are vintage, and how would you know?
And I just answered that in the box for her, because isn't vintage considered over 20 years?
Well, I have to tell you guys, so it's this kind of funny story, but so vintage products are not my area of expertise. I'm like the new consumer goods products person. My friend Lynn
Ah.
Drawley we're like twins in so many ways, except for literally one time my kids and I we were up visiting her and her kids and her mom, and she's like, I'm so excited because we're going to go to these estate sales tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm so excited because we're going to the Nordstrom half yearly sale tomorrow. And we were just cracking up because we really were. She'll be like, well, I bought a whole bag of clothes for my daughter and it was like $60. And I'll be like, okay, I just bought $300 worth of stuff at Nordstrom and I got like seven things. But the point I make is honestly, I am not a vintage product expert. So
Yeah.
I'm going to
So
defer to
ask
Karen.
Lynn. Karen, she wants to know, how do you
Well,
know if it's over 20 years
yeah,
old?
I don't know. I mean, I would say Google is your friend.
Yeah.
Google Images is your friend. Look at Google, if you know the brand name, you can Google the brand name and the style and look at the pictures and see if they say when it was made. Those are the easiest ways. So you probably ever see
And
them.
if all else fails, ask Lynn
There you
Drawley.
go.
Exactly. Or find, somebody that definitely, there's got to be a community in Facebook. There has to be, because there's a
Oh,
community for
there's for
everything. For
everything.
vintage clothing, vintage shoes. Do a search like that.
Yes, good ideas. Okay, and the other question about shoes was someone who sells shoes and was asking about the order of keywords. You talked about how the most important keyword should come first, then second. She does such things as the brand of the shoe, the size of the shoe, the color of the shoe. Is there any specific order those should be in her title?
Yeah, I would do the brand first and then the style, if there's a style for the shoe, and then I would do the color. And then I would do, if it's leather, like let's say it's an Italian leather shoe, I would do leather. And then I would do whether it's a women's or men's, and then I would do the size. So, we've got 80 characters to work with. If it's something like it's in a limited edition or it's got special, like, maybe it has a special treatment to it or a brass buckle or something that is unique and separates it from the rest of the shoes that this particular company makes. I would also highlight that in the title, highlight that in the item specifics, and then obviously in the description. But yeah, brand, style, color, anything about if it's an ankle boot or if it's a
Hmm.
calf boot, and then, women's and then the size. And if you run out of,
Right.
obviously you're going to put it in the women's shoe category, um, but use the keywords that are the most important to find that particular shoe because like women's is not really a keyword. People will type in women's, but if it's in the women's category and you've optimized item specifics for women's, etc., very likely it's going to get pulled up. But if you have a shoe that has I don't know, a certain kind of leather lace and your style is the only one that has the leather laces, I would put the leather laces in the title because especially when people are looking in search, they're looking at that title for the unique characteristics of that product that make sure that it's exactly what they want. So don't sacrifice a unique characteristic that is going to make someone click for a generic characteristic like a keyword like women's.
Excellent information. She says, thank you very much. Okay, and last question, if I can get done before they type more. What info goes in the Pinterest description?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this is a really, really good question, and I could do a whole webinar on this. In fact, that's what I talk about in my Pinterest for e-commerce course. But so here's what I call it. I call it a pin title and description. Now, people hear me say that and they're like, where's the title field? Where's the description field? This is my verbiage to describe what needs to go in your Pinterest pin. So the first thing is the pin title. So what is this product that you are promoting? So let's say that you have a pair of, I don't know, Juicy Couture leather ankle boots in cranberry. So that's the what I call the pin title. You always want to put the full name of the product in there. Then your description is what I call your color commentary, where you are typing in something that says um, beautiful or brand new color for fall, soft buttery leather. These boots go with skirts, pants, and I don't know, long dresses or whatever. So what you're doing is you're putting the name of the product there so people can see what the product is called, and if they search for a certain type of boot, if they're looking for cranberry boots or ankle boots or whatever, you've got your product name. And then your color commentary, this is where you're selling them on how cool this product is or what's unique about this product or what the benefit is of this product. And that color commentary, and if you have these boots, or I love these boots, or unique color for fall, or goes with all the new fall fashion colors. Again, you're selling that Pinterest viewer on, wow, I didn't realize cranberry was the new color for fall. I love that. And oh, I just bought this forest green coat, and wow, I bet that these would go together. Then they click on the pin. Then they click on the link that takes them to your eBay listing, and then they make the purchase because you've actually pre-sold them. Now, the one thing you absolutely, absolutely don't want to do, and I see this all the time, and I just wish there was a way I could private message people on Pinterest, but I can't. Please, please, please do not just copy verbatim the title of your eBay listing or the first part of your eBay listing description, where it's just this mishmash of keywords, and it makes no sense, and it's pasted in there with the price, and some people they paste in their item specifics. That will kill people's interest in even looking at your pin because it just looks like an advertisement. So take the time to write what I call a quick title and description, and it doesn't have to be long. In fact, it shouldn't be, one or two lines total, maybe three. One, but when you look at the pin, 3 lines of text, 2 lines of text, just enough to make them salivate and hook them in.
Absolutely. Hook them in and then get them to come click all those buttons and buy.
Can I say
I
one other
think
thing
we
about
finished.
Pinterest?
Please do, because I was going to ask you how your voice is.
Oh, Kat, you know me. I could talk all day long. And I
We're going to
have,
have
and
a
I
talkathon.
do. Okay, so here's one other thing I want to share with people. When you're setting up your Pinterest presence, this is really, really important. You want to put your most relevant seasonal boards in those top 2 rows. Now, I call those boards anchor boards, and it's kind of funny because I have these terms for things on Pinterest that nobody else uses. In fact, I had one of my students who's a part of Lynn Drawley's actually group, and she was in Lynn's group going, "Where are my anchor boards? I don't understand where my anchor boards are." And everybody's like, "What is she talking about?"
Talking
So she
about.
came back to me, I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, no one knows that because this is what I call them." But I call them anchor boards because they really anchor in the visitor's mind what your Pinterest presence is about. So if I click on your page and all of a sudden I see, wow, you're dealing in this type of shoes, and you've got, different types of fashion boards, and you've got some cool gift type stuff, accessories in those top 2 rows, that's what I'm seeing on my computer above the fold where I don't have to scroll down. So a lot of people just leave their Pinterest boards ordered in the way that they created them. So their holiday boards are all the way at the bottom. You want your holiday boards up there in those top two rows. You want your best boards. You want a board that showcases your show product, your store products in those top two rows. Those are your anchor boards. Those are going to change with the season. They're going to change depending on, what you want to promote. But those two rows are the most important in getting people to follow you and getting people engaged in what your Pinterest presence is all about.
Fantastic. You guys got some great information here, and Lisa's one of the best suppliers and information about Pinterest that I've seen out there. So I think we'll probably be adopting her terminology pretty soon. So go get started on your anchor boards. Okay, Lisa, I think we're done. I will do my best to have this up in 24 hours on the YouTube channel, and we'll have a PDF, and Lisa will have that information she's looking up. We'll get it all added up and together for you guys. Karen,
Hey,
we got all the
Kat.
questions? Yes.
Who knows? But I think we have a record for the longest 1-hour webinar ever.
3-hour, 1-hour webinar.
2 hours and 45 minutes.
Jeez, I'm going to cut this. We're going to have part 1 and part 2. Otherwise, it'll take like 6 hours to download for everybody. All right, guys, we'll do a 2-part video for this. And thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you,
all
Lisa.
of this rolling through the chat. So
Oh.
thanks again, Lisa. We'll have you back again soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for all your fantastic questions, and just really want to wish everybody a really prosperous holiday selling season, and just take it one step at a time. Every day, do a little bit, and you will be set for 2013.
That's what we want. All right.
Almost everybody stayed to the end.
Yes, we lost maybe a third, and the rest of them are still here listening. So, did you get your questions downloaded, Karen, that you wanted?
Yes,
before
I
hit
did.
The end button? All
Yeah,
right.
but let me do it just one more time because I don't know if it saves it from when I. Okay.
It's only giving me the option of saving the chat log. How do you save
You
the
got something
question?
screwing because when I go into file, it says save chat log and save questions,
No, I
except for
don't
one
have that
time.
option. I don't have that option.
And you
Yeah,
guys can pull those questions from the GoToWebinar attendee report too.
Yeah, I know. The way Karen gets them is so much nicer.
I know.
Lisa. You'll have to have her send you one.
It is
Okay.
easier. Although sometimes I don't do it.
I know, it's too much. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.